Hello there, welcome. Today we are going to hopefully, barring any incidents, finish the first season of Around the Grid. It's taken me a little bit longer than I expected because we've basically hit a pretty bad snag here, if you will, which is Red Bull. Currently we're not that far ahead, 18 points. Verstappen still has to lead in the championship. We need to gain 22 points on him in the last 4 races in a scenario that is not really similar to Norris, but kind of. So we'll definitely be focusing on those 4 races this episode, and we'll figure out which team we're playing next season. I expect next season to be kind of the same in terms of a bit of a cutthroat season where we need to focus on the races, but after that, we should have a little bit of a smoother sailing. Now, currently, Williams is in the lead seat of being the next team, but we also have Alpine and Sauber as alternatives. Has scored a couple of points, which has kept them outside of the, pecking order at the moment. I'm a little bit surprised Williams is at the bottom. So we'll have to see if they can correct that within these next 4 races. That's going to be, as mentioned, a bit of a deciding point on what we do with next year's car. We're also going to get started on a couple more research projects, of course. I do want to do that to keep next year's car a little bit competitive. We have been kind of alternating what kind of research we've done. But I'm looking forward to seeing if we can actually beat this team next year. I think they're going to be probably a little bit stronger than I would like. But that's going to be part of the fun as well. With that said, let's just head directly to Brazil and see if we can close the gap to Max. So sprint qualifying here in Brazil didn't go as expected with 5th and 8th. And that is a little bit of a problem, as you can probably imagine. Now, on the other hand, we are going to have a bit of an interesting sprint because we're going to get rain pretty early on within the first 10 or so laps. Not going to be super bad by the looks of this. And yeah, I'm kind of curious how that is going to work out. We're probably just going to go full attack on the softs as a result. Although, to be fair, in Yamamoto's case is she expects the rain to arrive, Inters to be around lap 13. I think we're still safe with going full attack. It is what we're going to do, and then we'll just jump on the Inters when we can go full attack on those. But 5th and 8th is definitely not what we were hoping for. I'll be perfectly honest and admit that. And it is going to make this sprint a little bit spicy. Remember, we're 22 points behind Verstappen, and he is starting front row. That's not great. Lights out, away we go. We're just going to immediately go very aggressive on overtakes. Although Yamamoto is falling a little bit backwards here, which is not good. Should be able to beat the V-Comp though. Sorry, it's Sainz, wrong driver. But yeah, we'll be trying our best here to see if we can turn this into something a little bit better. The rain is definitely going to make things a little bit exciting. I have no clue in, Tarnation why Paris has opted for a hard tire. Maybe he's not going to go Inter at all. Which honestly would be an interesting way to do this race, I'll be perfectly honest. You see the same here from Hamilton. There are a few medium runners. Let's see how this looks once we get closer to the rainy period. Yamamoto makes a move on Sainz. We have our first casualty of the Brazilian GP. It is Perez who's found the wall here. Maybe we get as many incidents as we did in the real life GP. Yeah, that is Perez crashing out, which is good for Verstappen's title chances, I guess you could say. Well, not really, let's be honest. But bad for their constructors. The constructor hopes. Currently 4th and 7th, and this is going to allow us to regain some fuel. It's going to allow us to recharge, and generally just going to bring us a lot of benefits. As we get close to the end of the virtual safety car here, we can see that rain is expected in 3 minutes. And generally, we are going to expect us to pit early because of virtual safety car. So basically, running full attack on these softs is no longer a concern at all. Rivas overtakes Leclerc and is up into 2nd place. What exactly happened here? she gonna get the other driver as well here now? The McLaren. Yeah, she does, actually. Or rather, Verstappen. Down into third, Rivas takes the lead. Yamamoto, there's a gap here that is kind of nasty to deal with. But we are back within DRS. But yeah, the rain is definitely going to have an effect. If we can break free from Norris and Verstappen, that would be amazing. I don't really expect that to happen, though. The rain has started falling. We've reached 63 millimeters on track. Started falling about 4 laps ago or so. And we've had some of the first cars in here for Inters, and it is Leclerc. I think he's a little bit too early here, I'm going to be honest, as Rivas gets double overtaken. I think we are going to delay it probably by another lap or two, because if it's stable at 64, I don't see any need for us to really get in the pits immediately. Although, with both Norris and Verstappen going in, we probably should respond. So, let's get Rivas in first. Again, it's stuck at 65, 66. It's going up very, very slow here. So, honestly, I would like to try and wait a little bit longer. But, let's see here now. Leclerc is basically setting his first fast lap as we get a yellow flag. Hamilton has crashed. Can't really see the car, but I would assume that is him with just a little bit of front wing damage, so not out. Yeah, the Inter runners here, I don't know what kind of lap times they are actually setting, and that's a bit of a problem. Verstappen, 22 seconds behind. If we take a look here at the... I can't actually see. The pit lane time was 22 seconds. I guess we are going to have to pit here. We're just going to do them one at a time, however. It's going to be a little bit risky doing it that way. But I think that is the best way for us to respond. There's still a lot of cars on track. So it's kind of hard to say if this is the best move. I'll be perfectly honest. 2.5 second stop there. Are we going to come out ahead of Verstappen? That's going to be the huge one. I do believe we are. Just barely out ahead. And Yamamoto is definitely still extending the lead, but the tires are gone now, so let's just get her in. And I do believe that we are going to have to run probably aggressive tops, just to make sure that we don't completely burn these tires into the ground or destroy them. Still just 10 laps to do on Inters. That should be doable even if you're overheating them. But particularly when we don't have a lot of water on track, it's very easy to put a little bit too much heat into them and put yourself in a bad position that way. Now, Yamamoto does come out in the lead. Rivas is second. We have Piastri in third. So staying out was definitely the correct choice. The question now is just, as mentioned here, temperature. It's already up to 108 degrees. I think we're just going to have to turn it down to standard and try and manage these tires a little bit, because otherwise they will just, you know, evaporate, as I've said. We do still have DRS. That is going to be a little bit of a problem. And I would not be surprised if it doesn't. As you can see, towards the end, you would suffer. You could actually probably go for some dry tires, take a little bit of a gap. But once it goes over one, you'd be in trouble. And Rivas here, as you can see, 115 degrees. That's about 10 degrees more than you should have. So, yeah, it's not great. And even Yamamoto here now is hitting those temperatures. I'm curious, what temperatures are the AI hitting here? That's my question. Because as you can see, 114, 120. Yeah, so between 120 and 115, which is fine. 120 isn't that bad on a soft. It's really bad on an Inter. And we're losing about 4% per lap. I guess we could honestly just go full send here. But the temperature is definitely a concern. So, yeah, I don't know. The degradation Inters do definitely have a pretty huge effect on how quick your car is. So, I'm going to play a little bit safe here. We'll see if we can bring it down to 105 degrees. By the looks of it, that's going to be really, really difficult. But we'll see what we can do here. The final lap is upon us, and as you can see, we're kind of running formation at the moment with our two drivers in front. Then we have Piastri and Verstappen behind. And we've actually run conserve here to not really save our tires, but to cool them down. And by running full attack now, we should be able to kind of just keep this going till the end, I think. 1-2 would be amazing. I'm not really sure which of our drivers actually lead on the championship at the moment. But we'll take a 1-2 any day of the week. If we can keep Piastri in third, that would be amazing too. Verstappen push down to a 4th place finish. And as I mentioned, I don't think we'll have any severe problems. The only thing would be fuel. So let's just fix that, turn it down to balanced. And with DRS, a 1-2 finish. Piastri ends up third. We have Verstappen in 4th. And that is a very, very good start to our weekend for the championship's sake. Let's see how the race itself goes. For the Brazilian GP here, we qualified 2nd and 4th. We have Sainz on pole with a Verstappen squished in between. So we do have a good chance here at the start. And honestly, it looks like Rivas is immediately going to get Verstappen here potentially, which would be huge. We're doing a very standard light soft stint to start off with. And hopefully this will be a very, very clean race. We have managed to... Both of our cars have jumped their opponent. And that is a brilliant start to this race. Let's see if we can keep this going as Perez also makes a move on Verstappen. 20 laps into the race, we are still running with the Red Bulls. We are basically running, well, the top 4 cars there. We created a bit of a gap here to Sainz, who's actually more or less holding up his teammate. But we're definitely going to be seeing a fight between ourselves and the Red Bulls till the end, I would assume, because I've tried. I tried several times and we just can't break away from them to the point where I'm kind of considering right now, because we are getting here. We're getting to a point where we could pit and come out ahead of Hamilton. So I'm actually really, really considering the undercut here, because Perez will be pitting probably within a couple laps time. He might even pit this lap. So what I am thinking is that we run both of our drivers on attack. We try and create a little bit of a bigger gap to either Perez or Verstappen. We go onto a medium tire, and instead of running a full attack like this, we are going to go ahead and tune it down a little bit and actually run it on aggressive. And that should be just A-okay. So let's see if we can create a little bit more of a gap to Hamilton. He will also soon be pitting, to be fair. So I think we can make this work. Perez has stayed out. Things are looking good. The only question, as mentioned, is just going to be when do our opponents actually pit, as the first 2 pit stops are happening here. Are these guys actually going to hold each other up in the pit stop? No, it looks like they actually did that in a pretty clean manner. Can't really complain. Yeah, let's see what we can do. If Perez pits this lap, he did not. He's still staying out. If he stays out for one more lap, he's really going to suffer. I think what we're going to do is we're going to have both cars stay out this lap. And we're going to gamble on Perez staying out as well. He did not. Okay, that's not amazing. But it basically tells me that Yamamoto now is going to need to pit on this this lap now, as she has less tire to work with. Looks like a clean pit stop-ish from the Red Bull teammate. Is Alonso going to be able to hold him up? No chance in... no chance. No chance at all. So we now need to push hard enough here that we come out ahead of him. Now, he was at the back of this train, which of course does give us a little bit of an advantage. But it's not a huge advantage, and it's one that could really, really turn bad. So let's see if Yamamoto now can actually get out ahead. I don't think it's going to make or break our race if we come out of, ahead of Paris or not. He's this blue dot. But it would be nice to not having to do the overtake. It looks like we are going to come out just about ahead. So let's get Rivas pit stop here planned as well. And as I mentioned, we're going to have to tune them down a little bit. I can't have them go full attack. We're going to have to tune them down to aggressive. And that should be A-okay here. And we'll do the same for Rivas once she pits. And she should hopefully be able to sneak out ahead of Paris as well. That's going to be the hope. And we should also be able to gain enough time on Verstappen here that he has no chance of coming out ahead once he does pit. He might be doing a one-stopper. Let's see how that pans out for him. So another clean pit stop. Are we coming out ahead? No, we're actually coming out behind here. That's the cost of actually just staying at one extra lap. We lost a lot of time on that lap. And Rivas is actually outside of DRS at the moment. So you might want to turn down Yamamoto just to give Rivas a chance to catch up and get within the DRS here. But we'll see how this stint goes. So far, a pretty good start to the race for us. As we are getting closer to our final pit stop here, we have both drivers back in a 1-2 position. However, we are gonna most likely end up using team orders here, as the driver that's in charge in the championship is Yamamoto, and we're actually taking the lead if these results stand as they are. So potentially here we'll just allow things to kind of run their course. It wouldn't be the worst strategy ever. But we might need to invert the cars here, if possible. Now, since we're also getting closer to the final pit stop, if Yamamoto is ahead at the end of the DRS straight here, which seems like she will be, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of deploy here. I want to break away from the Red Bull. I don't want to help pull him along, if that makes sense. Doesn't seem like we're going to be able to do that before the DRS zone, however. Yeah, Perez is keeping up really, really well at the moment. And Verstappen is doing the one-stopper. He's not going to be stopping again. Okay. I think we're going to do a double stop on this lap. Perez is probably going to do the same, I'd wager. But we do need to go into those soft tires. And I am pretty confident that we can just allow them to be undercooled for a few laps. We're going to lose a couple of seconds as a result. But with a gap to Verstappen already being 12 seconds for Rivas, already being 7 seconds for Yamamoto, I think we can close that gap in the last 20-ish rounds. Laps. So let's see here what the pit stop has to offer for our drivers. We're going to need clean stops. And Perez did in fact stop with us, so if we do not get a clean first stop here, the second stop is also going to be busted. 3 seconds, that's acceptable. Do we get out ahead of Perez? We do. 2 clean stops, a little slow. Let's be honest, they were a little slow. But we are now out ahead of the Red Bull. And with 10 and 16 seconds to gain, I think we'll be fine. I am also wondering what the Red Bull's going to do with his tires. He's going to have to take care of them. Because, let's face it, even while running light, we are just barely making it till the end. So, it's going to be an interesting spectacle all the way till the end. With a little over 10 laps to go here, Rivas just overtook Verstappen for the lead. He's running over a second slower than us in on most laps here. And as you can see, a simple overtake with the help of DRS. So, honestly, at this point, I just want Rivas to use a little bit of energy here. We don't want to give the Red Bull DRS if we can avoid it. And for Yamamoto, things are still looking good. Still running a second faster than the Red Bull with 12 laps to go. So catching Verstappen should not really be a concern for us. It should happen. The only issue would be a potential, safety car. We have Gasly, we have Bottas, and we also have Stroll, both nurturing advanced failures. So hopefully they can keep things going. Apparently Verstappen closed down the gap again. So maybe we'll do a little bit of a harvest here. And then try again with a full battery. But Perez and Yamamoto, I don't think we're catching Rivas here. We need Rivas to break away so that Yamamoto can catch Verstappen with 10 laps to go. So we will recharge, try and break away, and then we'll see if we can have Yamamoto catch up to the championship leader.
I think the engine is suddenly clipping more.
The F1 gods have decided to grant us a boon here, as Verstappen's engine has had a little bit of a boo-boo. That is going to make things quite a lot more interesting here towards the end. We're also running quite a bit slower here, as Perez's tires are quite a lot more worn down than ours. As you can see, he's definitely used a lot more. He should still be fine towards the end here, but we might be able to run a little bit more aggressive, is what I'm thinking here. Now, we did actually get away, so I'm just going to deploy battery here. We're going to try and make sure that we can stay ahead. Use the back marker here. That is a Mercedes to hopefully help us create a gap to Verstappen. Right now it's doing the opposite, which is not good. We are using so much energy for no good reason at the moment. Verstappen should still have the DRS, I feel. Does he not? No, he's actually outside. So Rivas now is safe. Can start creating a bit of a gap there herself, but has it cost us in the sense that we can't catch Verstappen? Honestly, I don't think it's gonna be a problem here because we still have energy to spare. So I'm gonna turn Yamamoto up here a little bit. Standard. We're gonna use that energy we've saved up. Again, energy in this game is extremely potent. Full battery can be 3, 4, even 5 seconds, sometimes more. And we are kind of seeing it here that fastest lap, when we toggle the energy on halfway through the lap there, 3 seconds gained, and we still have 70% of the battery remaining. So yeah, we're definitely catching Verstappen before the end here. No real concern. I just wanted to make sure that we saved up as many resources as possible to make it happen. Sometimes I am a little bit slow on the trigger, let's be fair. But I'd rather have a little bit too much than not enough. I think we are getting there though, unless the Mercedes decides to be a problem again. Let's go ahead and save a little bit of energy here. We have caught up. We're within DRS. Turn back down to light. There's 5 laps remaining. Let's see if we can get the move made. In fact, the move might just be made already. Because again, Verstappen's tires are definitely very, very worn out. I don't know if we'll be able to stay ahead though. Basically, if DRS is going to save him here. We are getting away slowly but surely. And I think honestly, the play here is just going to be to harvest. Run light, we harvest, we allow him to go ahead of us, so to speak. Just so that we can recharge our battery, get the move done, deploy and run away. Although he is actually running... He's actually running right now. He's breaking away. This is also something that I usually fail to calculate. The fact that AI will push at certain times. Although, to be fair, it looks like he did get some help there from, I assume that is Stroll. And Stroll is giving him some double help there. I do believe still that we are going to catch him before the end. We also have charged the battery. So it should not be a concern here. As we are now with 3 laps to go, getting the overtake done once again. If we're ahead at the end of the straight here, I am going to deploy battery to try and break DRS, because the second we break DRS, Verstappen is going to be out of the picture. And that is going to be probably the deciding factor here. And it looks like we will indeed be breaking that DRS with relative ease. Thank you, Sauber, for not being in the way. Thank you, other Sauber, for also not being in the way. I think you might also have given us DRS there. Nope. But that is us home safe, I think. Turn down to standard so we don't destroy the tires completely. And while it would be from a championship standpoint, be good to slow down Rivas enough to give Yamamoto the win, we're not going to bother doing that. I believe we still have enough here that we are going to take the lead by just 1 point. That is acceptable. Rivas is also going to be in it. 3 races to go after this one. We're in the lead of the championship. I didn't think we'd close down that much. In fact, it doesn't really feel real. I thought we needed 22 points. Did I missee it at the start of this race? I don't know. But we'll see what the standings are once we actually cross the finish line. Because as I mentioned, I don't know if I trust those standings. Rivas wins, Yamamoto comes second, Verstappen takes third, ahead of his teammate. So, not the worst strategy, the one stop here, but ours was definitely a little bit stronger. Norris 5th, Sainz 6th, Piastri, Leclerc, Tsunoda, and Alonso. Okay, so it was in fact lying to me. He's still 15 points ahead. That's a bit weird. I don't know what I was looking at, but clearly I wasn't looking at the correct thing. And this makes more sense to my brain anyways. But yeah, probably should have inverted the cars, then it would just have been, well, less points. But it's a good Brazil GP here where we did do a 1-2. It's going to definitely nail down the constructors more in our favor. Next up is Vegas. Let's see if we can keep this streak going there. In Vegas qualifying, we didn't really do ourselves any favors. We have Rivas on pole, but she's the second option, so not the best place to place her, to put it that way. We have Yamamoto down in 6th. She does have problems with her car after crashes earlier, so we're running low tier components, which is not great. But on the positive side, we do see that Verstappen has a penalty. And that could potentially be the difference between winning and losing here if he gets stuck in traffic. Now, we are starting 5th as a result of that penalty, but what I mentioned here with bad, or not really bad components, but rather worse components. As you can see here, 40% DRS, 50% gearbox. The engine is at 70 versus slightly higher here for Rivas. That's definitely helping. That's probably not the main source of why, or rather main reason why there's a difference, if you will. I think what we are going to do here is actually just do this. I am kind of tempted to run the medium stint a bit more aggressive, but I think it's going to be more important to take care of the medium, have some hard towards the end. While a 2-stopper is going to be faster on paper, it's hard to overtake here. You basically just overtake with DRS. So I think we are going to go for a very safe 1-stopper here. We do have Verstappen, as mentioned, having a penalty. And we really just need to survive this race. This is not a race our car is suited for. Probably realize our car is made for cornering. Vegas is predominantly straights. So we're definitely not going to be, you know, taking any chances here. We're going to go for the 1-stopper. We're going to try and minimize risk here, minimize loss, if you will. And as long as Rivas wins here, we're honestly pretty happy. So let's see if we can turn this around. We have no Red Bull between our two cars, and hopefully that will be enough that we can make a pretty good result. The setups aren't the worst either. I think everything has been set up as I wanted. Let's jump in here, see what we can do. Potentially we could have a tire heating issue, but the 1-stopper is still viable even if we need to go up to standard. Lights out, away we go. Decent getaway here for our driver, I dare say. Should make sure that we stay in the lead. For Yamamoto, we do actually squeeze our way up into 4th place, which is huge. Should maybe also get a McLaren here if we're lucky. I don't really see it happening, however. And with Verstappen down in 13th and on a soft tire, things could definitely be spicy here. All of the soft runners here, unless they go soft too hard, should be set in for a 2-stopper, and that is going to make things quite a lot more exciting here. We'll do our best to survive. Let's see if we can close the championship bid a little bit more. Let's see if the standings here are making any sense. I don't feel like they do. Honestly, what I think is happening here is that the live standings probably don't actually take the these have to not take the sprint results into consideration, which is a hilarious bug. Let's just put it like that. But yeah, let's see what this race has to offer. We're already up into 3rd place here with Yamamoto. We have Rivas setting fastest lap. Let's see if we can hold off every other car here and get something out of this race. So as it turns out, I'm pretty sure that every single AI is going for the 2-stopper. And the reason why I'm saying this is pretty much the fact that they're all burning their tires. Like, even the hard runner of Paris is down to 40%. And he has yet to pit. He's actually been holding up Verstappen, who has just pitted, is down in 12th. But as you can imagine here, I don't see any other option than they are all going for a 2-stop strategy, which could honestly work out pretty well for them. But I think that's going to just ensure that our strategy is going to work out just fine. We're currently breaking away from everyone else. We are a little bit free out ahead, which is huge. So if we can keep this going, skip a pit stop here while everyone else takes it, That alone would be pretty huge. It's just a very, very quick pit stop at 17 seconds. So if we see it in need, we could potentially pit it and still come out basically net first. Let's be honest. We could toggle on, start pushing, and we'd still be net first, although Sainz is getting dangerously close to being within our pit window. He's not going to catch us before he burns these tires down too far to even get close to catching us, really. So I think we're in a really, really good position right now. Let's see if we can keep this going until our pit stop. We've had a crash. I don't know if that's going to cause a safety car. If it does, it would be pretty huge for us. It's Hamilton. He's going to lock up and take up the... Oh. I guess he got hit in the back, which is unfortunate because I have no idea who actually hit him then, but I would assume it's Stroll. It is in fact a Stroll. And he's picked up a little bit of front wing damage there, as you can see. So no safety car, but we are getting very close to pitting here anyways. And we are running 1-2 at the moment, which honestly has become strong again, because it ensures that both your drivers can run peak confidence with relative few issues, which is, again, a pretty powerful tool to have in your arsenal. Because again, I just want to mention this, the +6, +7, +8 you can get to every stat here can make your drivers pretty good. Like, my driver's already pretty boosted because they have enthusiastic mentality. They're already 87-ish overall. So if I can get them to run peak confidence for the entire race by having them switch back and forth, it carries a little risk, yes, but that risk isn't high enough, in my opinion, that I'm dissuaded from doing so, because peak confidence just straight up means you're not going to crash. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll probably talk a little bit about confidence in a video tomorrow, and probably do a bit of a setup guide later on, because setups have become more important. But if you can set up your drivers like this, where they do train off each other, then it's as if the confidence change never happened. But with that said, we are, of course, getting closer to our pit stops here. We are pushing. I think we're going to be pitting one car now. And, well, there isn't any, you know, window, quote-unquote, for us to pit into. We are in a pretty dominant position here, because, as I mentioned, there's no way all of these hard runners go to the end. We have a 9-second gap here to Piastri. That gap's going to become bigger once we start pushing with new tires. We should hopefully here, hopefully I say, come out ahead of Norris. And with a 2.8-second stop, that is, in fact, reality. We do come out ahead of Norris. We get a teeny tiny gap up to Sainz. And let's be honest here, with the DRS, that should be a very clean overtake. Then we just have Piastri to worry about. Verstappen still finds himself down in 8th. He's been stuck in a trainer with Tsunoda and Russell. So he's kind of already been neutralized to a certain degree. And that is probably going to be a bit of a decider in this season in terms of the championship, because if Verstappen doesn't score here, which is basically one of the tracks that are remaining, basically the track with the Red Bull has the biggest advantage against us, that could straight up just decide is probably the better word, decide the championship right there. Right now we're running, as I mentioned, behind Sainz here, but our driver should have no problems clearing him. And we'll see if we can keep everyone ahead behind till the end here. They do need to pit again. Perez can probably run till the end if he's careful. But the rest here, definitely all will have to pit once more. And just as I say that, I jinx myself with a safety car. And honestly, staying on the hards is probably our best bet. But it does close the gap with everyone. And it is Tsunoda. And it is Tsunoda getting overtaken that causes it too. How's that a safety car? Is he still running, or did he actually DNF? Is FIA... This feels like FIA fixing things. He's still running. What? How is this a safety car? How is this a safety car? Excuse me? Oh, Gasly retired. So Tsunoda isn't the cause of safety car, it's actually Gasly. That makes a whole lot more sense. Me neither, buddy. Me neither. Floof's curse. has once again struck. But yeah, I thought the safety car was Sonoda, but clearly it's just Gasly's car saying, nah, we're done for. Alpine's getting some revenge. Medium tires for Piastri, same for Sainz. Norris comes out on a soft tire. Yeah, we might find ourselves in a bit of trouble here. Verstappen held a little bit there in the pits. He has picked up an issue as well. What is Verstappen's issue? It's a gearbox issue. Okay, that gearbox is not looking good. He actually got a new ERS. He really should have just gotten a new full set if he was going to get a penalty here anyways. That gearbox issue could definitely keep him away from us. But yeah, I don't like that safety car. It's one of the most poorly timed safety cars in the history of safety cars maybe ever. And let's face it, except for softs, we don't really have any tire to go on here. Could I have hit it for softs? Probably. But I think we'll be able to stay ahead with the 1-2 up front here. That's going to be the hope. But yeah, we're getting at least a spicy end to this season. This isn't really going to give Verstappen the chance to fight back. It's going to give him a little bit of a fighting chance. Perez stayed out. Even in game, Perez is still being left... Perez is still being screwed over in the game here. As he is in reality with being a guinea pig. What is Bottas doing? Never mind what is Hulk and Show doing. What is Sauber up to? Sauber about to create a puncture here. At least we have a good restart. Should probably tune up the fuel a little bit here. I'm gonna be honest, Piastri is gonna be a bit of a problem on those mediums until he wears them down. So we are going to be in trouble here. Confidence has also been set down from the peak levels due to the safety car. Ocon with a bit of a lockup. If the other Alpine causes me grief, I'm gonna be very, very sad. But yeah, we'll try and manage this best we can. It's looking a little bit rough right now, but I think we'll be getting everything back as the medium and soft runners destroyed their tires a little bit. So let's see how this turns out for us. With just 5 laps remaining here, things have gone basically as expected. We've been able to run together here, 1-2, and build up that confidence again. But we're not really running 1-2, we're running 2-3, but you get the idea. We've been able to build up that confidence again. Norris is running away out front, but with just 45% left, with 5 laps around Vegas, he's not going to have a good time. Same can be said for Piastri, Sainz, Leclerc. Verstappen is still down in 10th, and his fault has escalated. So, the championship decider might be this race right here. And we do need to catch Norris to make that happen. But right now, there isn't really much we need to really do. I would love to harvest a little bit here to make sure that we can break the DRS with him. Because poorly timed DRS is enough to decide races around here. So getting full energy, allowing him to again just burn down his tires more than we've burned down ours, should be enough that our drivers can probably just sort this out on their own with no real repercussions, so to speak. Now I am still a little bit undecided if I should use driver orders here, and the reason for that is very simple. I don't really like them in reality. I understand why they're being, I do understand why they happen. To maximize points, maximize opportunity. Another yellow flag, just very temporarily. Albon with a lockup. But we are actually at risk of losing this championship if we have a DNF. So I don't know how I feel about that. We are going to tune down the overtaking and defending risks here. And honestly, I might just allow this to run till the end. I don't see that being a big issue. We have a decent lead. I think we'll be okay. But if we DNF in one of the last 2 races, I'm gonna really regret it. And let's be honest, if they take each other out now, I'm probably gonna regret it even more. But let's see what we can do here. Yamamoto is currently 2nd. She is our main contender. Can she turn this one into a win? Or is Rivas going to be able to hold on to the lead here? But yeah, tire-wise, as I said here, we definitely made the correct choice just staying out on the halves and taking care of them. We are just so much quicker just purely based on tires at this point. It's actually kind of insane. Yamamoto gets the overtake done into the final corner, and that should actually be her winning. So, lucky for us, even with turn down aggression, that was enough. To be fair, Rivas is quick here. 1-2. We get the result we want. Verstappen is currently outside of the points after falling pretty far back here with the gearbox failure. So yeah, I really wish the AI would just do a risk assessment there. If they're taking one penalty, should I get a new gearbox as well? Should I get a new engine? Because let's face it, when they took the ERS penalty, the gearbox was probably already pretty broken. So we'll definitely seeing the Red Bull take another penalty in Qatar. That is probably, as I mentioned, going to decide the championship right then and there. So 1-2 here. We got the results we wanted. We didn't get fastest lap, which honestly I'm okay with. Seems like no one got that. Danny Rick gets it, so that's acceptable. We do now jump up in the lead 10 points out of Verstappen, who scored 0 points there. And if we score 16 points in next race weekend, more than Verstappen for Yamamoto, that is going to decide the championship. And as I mentioned, it's very likely that Verstappen is going to take a new penalty there. Let's see what next race has to offer. Constructor-wise, I think we basically have this one in the bag. We just need to score a few points next race weekend, and then we should be good with at least that championship. Let's see if we can get both, though. Qatar is next. The Qatar Sprint here has offered another poor qualifying performance. We have Rivas, who qualified second. Yamamoto qualified down in 7th. And Verstappen here has come in with a pole position. And as I mentioned, I assume there is some fresh components there. We'll take a look at that once he finishes this first lap. But he's definitely running away. Look at this. Rivas is already a second behind. So Verstappen might have unlocked that extra setting on the engine, and that's going to make things a little bit spicier here. Now, the medium runners shouldn't have any problems here making till the end, but the soft runners like ourselves, we're going to have to run light to be on the safe side. And honestly, it is a sprint. It's not a lot of points, but I would still like to get both cars on the podium if possible. And of course, winning would be an extra added benefit if we could pull that off. Now, with Verstappen here, he does not have a new engine or a new gearbox. Sorry, that's not Verstappen, that's us. He does have a new gearbox, but not a new engine. So his pace is a little bit surprising in that regard, but it basically almost has a fresh car. He might take that last penalty in Abu Dhabi if this continues. But yeah, so far the start has been good. Let's see if we can keep this up till the end of this short little sprint race. Even if we were to finish 6th here with Yamamoto, that wouldn't be a terrible thing, although fuel is a bit of a concern. Let's see if we can actually get the result that we need here. The sprint here has mostly gone as we expected. We have Rivas in the lead. We have Yamamoto a second or so behind Verstappen. And we are getting closer here to the final lap. I would love to be within DRS as the final lap gets started, but I think we're a little bit too far behind to get that. Not that it's a huge issue. It's just one of those things that would be nice to have. And we might even so be able to make a bit of a launch here. But Rivas is taking the win here, and worst case scenario, we lose 1 point or gain 1 point to Verstappen. It's not the end of the world. But with the limited amount of points that we need to take the championship, it would be nice to kind of solve it here. Although the Haas is definitely running on Verstappen's team at the moment. That's a little bit unfortunate. I don't think we are getting him with the ERS to the main line. We might actually. Never mind, my ERS decided to reboot. I don't even know what this is anymore. This is the FIA doing the best they can to sabotage my hopes and dreams. We have DRS, we have no energy, and with that, Verstappen should be safe. I would think here. I love that the last corner before the DRS zone, where we could have, you know, just pushed everything to probably get him. The DRS says no, basically. But yeah, 1 point to Verstappen in the sprint here. That's nothing too major. If we can keep quali going, we should be safe because, as mentioned, Verstappen, I assume, has taken another penalty here to get himself a new gearbox. So for the race itself here in Qatar, Verstappen, no penalty as you can see. which is a slight concern. Honestly, I can also start feeling that this might be a little bit too big, so we might get rid of it. But yeah, Verstappen here, no penalty. He did have an extra gearbox that has tidied him over. And as such, we will just have to live with that, let's just say temporary issue, so to speak. But yeah, Verstappen here has the lead. He's off to a flying start there, already getting a second. Similarly to what he did during the sprint. But degradation is high around here. I still think we can make something happen, even though we aren't pushing like madmen, like Verstappen is. And that is going to be the play here. We're going to play it safe. Let's see if we can keep this lead, or if we stumble and Verstappen has a fighting chance going into Abu Dhabi. To make our life a little bit worse here, although they didn't actually tell us what the problem was, we now have a bit of a mechanical fault. And honestly, I don't need this screen. We can just go here. It's a mechanical fault for the ERS. We kind of had already a little bit of warning of this during the sprint, but this is our highest rated ERS, so let's just pray that that problem goes away on its own. But if not, Yamamoto here might be in a little bit of trouble. Let's just say it like that. Verstappen has just completed his first pit stop. It put him down into 6th place here. We are going to have to hope that Leclerc can cause him some problems. I doubt that. But we are getting close to our pit stop anyway, so not really a huge problem. The mechanical failure is still causing a little bit of problems for us, but Verstappen is literally going to be the only rival this race. Even if he wins, we're still going to have a pretty good position going into Abu Dhabi. We're currently in the pits where we're doing our first pit stop. We are going to medium tire. As you can see, we are kind of double stacking here. There is 5 seconds between the cars, so should be pretty safe unless something happens. We cleared that with no problem, and unsurprisingly, we can kind of see here that Verstappen is in the lead. He pitted way earlier than us. He has been pushing pretty aggressively, so it's not a surprise that he is in the lead ahead of us, but as mentioned, I still think we have a decent chance of catching up to him. 12 seconds might seem like a lot around here, but with how bad the degradation is, it is something that we can manage. I'm more concerned about Yamamoto and the fact that this mechanical fault won't go away. As you can see, it gives reduced output for the ERS. It says it's temporary, but it's been with us for quite a number of laps right now, and that reduced output is definitely making it harder to fight the cars around us, which is not a good sign and could potentially put us in a troublesome situation here in the championship. We need that temporary error to be fixed. By the time Verstappen does his final pit stop here onto a hard set, Rivas was just about 4 seconds off. So we definitely caught up to him, and seeing that we are still with some leeway here on the mediums, I do believe that we are going to take him, overtake him on that hard stint. If we take a quick look here on the time or compound expectations from a soft to a hard, you can see that it's already around 8/10 advantage a lap. We do lose 500s, which means that within 16 laps, we'd become somewhat equal. But if you consider the fact that by the time we pit, which is around lap, probably close to lap 40, it's just going to be that number of laps remaining. So the soft stint should have an advantage for its entire life cycle. Also, or rather specifically also because we're running it on light, so degradation is going to be less than anticipated, but we still retain a pretty significant advantage in lap time. So I still have very, very high hopes here that we'll convert this into something good. Yamamoto's mechanical fault has just escalated into a major fault, which could put us in a very, really bad position of needing a new ERS for the final race. As you can see now, it's going to be examined after the session, and that is concerning. Let's just put it like that. But yeah, we don't really have anything else to do here. We just need to put our heads down and try and make the best out of this race. We are going to be probably staying out a little bit longer than anticipated. We do need to try and jump Norris here. That's probably going to be very, very difficult with an ERS that isn't cooperating. And honestly, I am tempted to just turn up to attack right now. Use the last remains of this medium. Go on the soft tire, run it light. The temperature is actually just perfect for us to not going to negative temperatures, and I think we'll be fine doing it like this. We still have a slight advantage even on Norris in terms of tire, but as you see, we have no chance of getting the overtake done because we're just so lacking in the RS pace. So while it sucks, this is the best we can do at the moment. So I ran Yamamoto here a little bit longer than I needed, really, but it is what it is. But as you can see, there's now 17 seconds between her and Rivas, and they should be pretty comparable both in terms of car and everything. So this gives you an idea of just how much time we are losing due to that ERS problem. Now, with that though, we should have no problem pitting and coming out potentially very, very close to Verstappen here. He is flying down the main straight right now. We are leaving the pit lane. We can see him down in the top left. And with this tire advantage, all the way till the end, closing that 2-second gap to Verstappen should be no problem at all. Staying with Norris and beating him even with the ERS problem should be viable. So I'd say we are in a very, very strong position here, but of course this ERS issue is definitely causing a little bit of problems, and Rivas winning here is going to be key to minimize the point loss to Verstappen. We're getting close to the end now, just 8 laps remaining. Rivas is trying to attack Verstappen, but with not the best of luck, let's just put it like that. Again, this probably is a little bit too big. Maybe I want to remove it. It's nice, but I think we can live without it. But yeah, we're just struggling to get the overtake done. I still think that we'll get it before the end of this. You can already see 50 versus 70% tires. 7 laps remaining. I'd say we have an edge. Unfortunately, in Yamamoto's case, the opposite is true. We're not really closing the gap here to Norris. Piastri is actually closing the gap to us more than we are closing the gap to Norris here. And that is a little bit of a concern. But I have hopes that we can make something happen, and I'm actually going to allow for a little bit of deployment here to see if that will be enough for us to catch up to and overtake Verstappen. And I would really love it to create a gap that is, you know, big enough that the DRS can't get back to it, or rather get outside of Verstappen's DRS range. And I think we've already done that, which leaves us actually as pretty safe at the moment. But as mentioned, there we go. Now, the reason why I want to make this move a little bit early is because we kind of need to. The win here is going to be critical for us keeping our lead on Verstappen, because by looks of it right now, Yamamoto is going to finish 4th if we are lucky. Generally, ERSs don't actually lead to DNFs. If your ERS explodes, you can still drive the car. It's just going to be slower. So we should be fine here as long as we can keep Piastri at an arm's length. The main concern that I have here would be a safety car, really. But for now, we're just going to allow things to progress a little bit longer like this. I think we do need to start pushing. We're actually getting now to the range where the temps aren't the best. And with a yellow flag and mechanical failure here, things could get spicy, but it's just a lockup from Tsunoda. Now, with that said, I think we are getting closer now to the time of gambling. It's a little bit too soon. Probably lap 54, 55 is when we're just going to go full attack, full deploy, and see if we might be able to catch Norris. Final lap has begun. Well, not really for Yamamoto, as we have a little bit more to go on, but the final lap has begun here. We have tried to push. Could probably have started a little bit earlier with the tires, to be fair, but even that wouldn't have made much of a difference in this scenario. We're still 3.5 seconds behind. We have gone incredibly quick. There's no doubt about that, but they're clearly not going quick enough to catch Norris in this scenario. Luckily, though, Rivas should secure the win here. 12 seconds down to Verstappen right now. So I think we're happy with the attempt, is what I'm going to say here. The win is basically in our hands. We got close to Norris, just couldn't get it done with the ERS issues, which is perfectly fine. They happen. I'm curious now exactly how the numbers are going to add up, and what might happen is that we might actually need to buy a new ERS for that final race weekend. So Yamamoto ends up fourth here. We have a winner. We do also take fastest lap, so at least we secure another point that way. Driver Championship then. We now have both drivers in contention. Last race of the season. 3 points, 3 cars. It's probably the closest championship battle I've seen. Basically, as long as one of these 3 drivers win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, they win the championship. It's that simple. That's going to be a little bit more hype than I anticipated here, but Verstappen has given us a fight till the end. Probably should have prioritized one driver more than the other. But let's see what we can do here. We do also have that ERS issue. I'll leave that a little bit open, so to speak. Let's see what we can do in Abu Dhabi. Okay, the cat's out of the bag. The damage is permanent. And that has taken this 3-car fight and made it a little bit spicier. Because with permanent damage to the ERS, this is basically unusable. And a 12% ERS is basically begging for problems in this final race of the season. So I don't really see any other option than buying a new ERS there, really, for Yamato. And while she does have an engine that is workable, it's not great. Neither is the gearbox. The best one we have is 37%. But I don't think we can afford a double penalty here. It's just going to be too... I think that would be too punishing. But if we're going to take a penalty and just go for broke, it might be the best option. So we are going to kind of separate our cars a little bit here on purpose. Yamamoto is going to most likely start further down the grid from penalties, as you would expect. But we'll put her on a strategy that kind of tries to deal with that, hopefully. And it's just how things are going to have to be. We should probably have taken these penalties earlier. But if the RS had survived, I think she would have finished third. And then there would have been less of a scuffle, so to speak. Now, for Rivas, she actually has a car that is in great shape still. 70% engine, 60% DRS, and a 75% gearbox. So as you can already see, Yamamoto has had a rougher season, crashed a lot more, and right now that is coming back to really punish her here. So car setups have been fixed. Currently they're at 60%, as you can see, but they should be a little bit better after qualifying. I'm going to run through this quick. Let's see if we can get Yamamoto in the P1 position so the punishment isn't too harsh. And honestly, at this point, if I really wanted to, the best thing I could do is probably just buy another engine. But I feel like that is a bit of a cop-out answer because that leaves the AI with nothing, basically going into next season. So since the engine is still usable, we will keep that as is. Let's see if we can turn this, pretty bad story, so to speak, for Yamamoto into something good. Because as I mentioned, the only thing that really matters for this race is who the winner is. If the winner is either of our drivers or Verstappen, the championship is done for. The other positions leave a little bit more leeway, but there's just 3 points as mentioned, 3 drivers. Let's see what we can do here. We find ourselves in Q3, and this is going to decide fate somewhat for our drivers here, let's be perfectly honest. Depending on where Yamamoto qualifies, I'm a little bit unsure. Is she getting 15 or 20 places? Might be the qualifying, doesn't really matter here. But we're going to try and do the best that we can here. And with that, we have our first fast lap with Verstappen being a little bit in the way, which means that we are going to be in the way. Purple sectors for our drivers here, which is not surprising. Yellow flag, Leclerc running a little bit wide. 1-2 so far, 0.11. 0.011, sorry. It's actually pretty amazing. Verstappen is behind on the first run, but what we're going to do here is actually just get that second run started right away. And the reason for that is we still have a little bit of a confidence boost, particularly for Rivas and Yamamoto. This is going to help get maybe an extra 10th out. That's what I'm hoping for. There aren't too many cars out on track right now that would be a problem. As you can imagine, most of them are on their in-laps. There is Paris on this fast lap. But with everyone doing in-laps rather than anything else, we should have a very clear track right now to try and set a good qualifying time. So right now things are looking very good, very promising. But I would love to get a little bit more ahead here. If that makes sense. So 18-2 versus 18-1. Basically a 10th off here for Yamamoto, which is not great as a start. Can we improve? It's going to be the big question. Yellow and sector 2 for both our cars. That's not great. We are using used tires, which probably has a tiny bit of an effect, but by the looks of it, we're not getting this done. We could try and pit, get another run in there, but this just wasn't good enough. Last lap 22.5, 22.1. Purple sector there, and that middle sector just wasn't good enough. That is a little bit unfortunate. We also not have time to do another run. So, can Verstappen improve? That's going to be the big one here. And he's actually improving right now on his flyer. We're going a little bit dramatic here, a little bit focused. But I think that is something we need to do this race. 34.3. We did a 34.5. He is on pace here to one-up us. He really, really is. Verstappen takes pole. 2 3/300ths ahead of our drivers. That is insane. The question now is, can Perez do something similar? He's doing the same kind of times as Verstappen. 2/10 behind there, which kind of tells us that he's already 2/10 behind. Please don't be quicker than Yamamoto. That's all I ask, Perez. 1/10. 4 cars, 1/10. Getting a really, really close, really close season finale here, if you will. Now, Perez is also taking penalties, so I don't know where he's going to start, but it's basically going to be Rivas versus Verstappen as the main event, and then we'll have to see what Yamamoto can do. It would not be surprising if these two crashed into each other. Let's just put it like that. So a 10 place grid penalty, that's not too bad. 12 plays is definitely not the worst place you could have started here. And I think we're going to go with a very aggressive strategy in the sense that we're going to go with a full attack hard into a full attack medium into a couple of soft tires. We have saved soft tires. That is an advantage that we hold over basically every other team. There's no point in ruining these softs. Running them standard or even light is perfectly acceptable. So, yeah, I think we'll just run them standard. Although running them light doesn't really lose as much time, so it's just going to be a temperature thing more so than anything else. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to push a hard tire into a medium tire, then run a soft tire, a couple of soft tires till the end. It is going to most likely be the fastest thing we can do here. But as you can see, even this is very similar actually in terms of pace. Can we do something cheeky here with the hard tire? We could do a soft into hard. That could also work, and it is supposed to be quicker. Less pitting too. We do have a lot of tire left over here, let's be honest, so I feel like this is the better option. But because of the fact that we start in midfield, let's go with an aggressive initial first 18 laps. That should do it. And for Rivas here, who starts at the front, we are going to do what we have been doing and what has worked to great effect so far. The light softs, and in this case a hard. We could potentially also sneak in a medium here. Would that be faster? Not really. Hard gives a little bit more leeway, which is kind of what we need. So that is exactly what we're going to do. We are going to do this. And that should give us everything that we need here for this race. We are going to underfuel. It is just the fastest strategy, fortunately. The best option, if you will. So we're going to take advantage of it. And we are splitting the strategy a little bit here. Hopefully we can have Yamamoto do some early overtakes, build that confidence, and get back up to the top 2 here. Let's see how this goes. Wish me luck. But I think we'll have to do this next time. I've used a lot of time already. Nah, we're doing it today. Sorry. We're going to get this done. Video will be out a little bit later. Apologies for that if you're watching it in the evening. But I'm doing this race. We're going to focus on it probably a little bit more than usual. Hope you enjoy. Let's see what the race has to offer. We are ready for the season finale. Let's see if we can actually keep both cars running. That's going to be the key. Verstappen, Rivas, Yamamoto somewhere back here. Let's see what we can do. We're going to go with high overtake aggression for both the drivers here. It's been generally fine. Pretty bad started for Rivas, I'm not going to lie. We immediately get left behind by Verstappen, but that's been the norm for the last few races. There's not really anything to worry about. Well, who we are going to worry about is actually Yamamoto here. It's actually further back. There's not a lot of hard runners. It's basically just us. So we're going to try and make something happen on these hards. It's going to be difficult, but I think we do have a car that should be better than those around us. And particularly after we get through the first 5 laps here, I think we'll be seeing some overtakes. A bit like that. We might actually see an overtake here with the Haas being overtaken, like so. Very good. But yeah, while Verstappen is running away out front, that's not actually a problem, as I mentioned. So I think we will be fine. Once the RS comes into the picture too, we should have an easy time overtaking these guys. And I'm not too worried here. In other news also, Verstappen should still have a very, very bad engine. It is at 30%. So Verstappen is also kind of playing with fire here a little bit. That's a Red Bull engine. At 30%, it's going to be noticeably degraded. Let's just put it like that, as Yamamoto gets another overtake. So I think we, as I've mentioned several times at this point, I think we'll have a pretty good chance here at getting a win. As we see a yellow flag there temporarily, that did scare me a little bit. Rivas now down to 3rd. Another yellow flag, Magnussen. I think it is looking promising. That's all I can really hope for here, that we will make something out of this. Norris is being a little bit of a nuisance because he's on a hard tire. But I don't think that's necessarily going to be a bad thing. Yamamoto now up to 9th. And as I mentioned, it's just going to probably chew through these cars in front. We might want to do a little bit of top up. Let's see here how many places we gain before we get into that first pit stop. We've had our first crash, and it is Perez, luckily for us. Probably just a light tap to the wing, and that is what it looks like. Lost a bit of his end plate there. But that basically means now that we are relatively safe in regards to Perez being a factor in this race. He shouldn't be a problem per se. Yamamoto is still losing time, however. Stroll is kind of holding us up here a little bit with a little bit of help from Leclerc. So we will do a little bit of deployment, see if we can get that overtake done and sort out this problem. Already, I am arguing that we are in a good position with Rivas because we've used half of the time that Verstappen has, and we are keeping up with them. So that is looking very, very good. Although I probably shouldn't have switched over there. F1 TV direction here. Yamamoto up into 6th. Has fresh air now. Can start to chase down the gap here. So, as mentioned, I think we're in a really, really promising position. To give Rivas a little bit of a better chance here, now that she's done the overtake, we've actually recharged the battery. We're going to try and use the battery solely here to create a gap to Verstappen that is 1 second before we get to that first DRS detection zone. It's going to be difficult, I think, to pull this off. But if we do, then we can start creating a bigger and bigger gap to the Red Bull, and that would be highly beneficial going into the future. It doesn't seem like we were able to pull it off, though, and even though we do have a lot of energy, I don't really want to waste it on pulling a Red Bull along. So let's see here. Probably have till the end of this lap, basically, to try and get this sorted, and if we can't, then we're going to have to go back to just recharging. Sergeant with a mechanical fault, making a bit of a cameo as he usually does. It's going to be a slight issue, but nothing too serious here, I believe. But yeah, looks like we might be able to just eke out that 1 second that we need to slow Verstappen down a little bit, to have Rivas build a little bit of a gap now, while Verstappen has very bad tires. And that is going to be very, very nice to see. Yamamoto is also gaining. Is now basically 12 seconds behind Verstappen, but in free air. it's going to be able to push a little bit. And if we're lucky here, some of the cars that pit early are going to be losing a lot of time being stuck in DRS trains. So that is going to be my hope. Rivas has made almost 3 seconds there. Let's see where we stand once we actually get to our pit stops. Because so far, looking very, very promising. Verstappen has just completed his pit stop. And he's going to come out potentially behind Leclerc here. If we are lucky, Leclerc might play a little bit of a blockage. And he does. We actually also get the Alonso blockage. So we get a 2-for-1 package deal. Didn't last long though. Verstappen immediately gets the overtake done. Which is a bit problematic. Yamamoto, on the other hand, is actually losing a bit of time here fighting with Piastri. But gets the overtake sorted there as well. As mentioned here, we're still about the same in terms of pace behind our Rivas. So if you consider the fact that the hard is the slower tire around here, we should be fine. We're also kind of running it on the limit here with the temperature when we were in clean air. So we'll have to see. This could become a problem later on if the temperature were to, say, go down a bit. But for Yamamoto here, I think we are going to pit her at the end of this lap. She's done what is expected. A new tire should be 2.4 seconds quicker just from the get-go. And that's going to help out a ton. In terms of pit stop expectations, about 21 seconds here. So add 21 to this time, 37. Going to end up basically next to Piastri, who just did pit. But we should be one of the only top 10 cars, with the exception of Leclerc and Rick, of course, that are running a soft tire. So I think we'll have some easy overtakes. I don't know if we're going to beat Piastri out. But honestly, running a light soft and behind another car is going to be perfectly fine. It's going to work out great for temperature. So let's see now. If we have a clean stop, that would be everything I could ask for. 2.6 seconds, basically. We're 1,000 off. And we do come out behind Piastri. Just about. That's not terrible. We'll be able to get the overtake sorted. We'll be able to heat up these tires a little bit easier when we're behind him. So all in all, not the worst place that we could have entered the track. And there are some nice gaps here to get overtaken done. Norris needs to pit. Alonso needs to pit. So I'd say we are 5th place right now. Verstappen is still, very far ahead. But I'm not too worried about that at the moment. We'll have Rivas push and burn up these softs. And then we'll have her pit as well. Rivas has just entered the pits here. Let's see what we can do. 23 laps on those soft tires is more than enough. And we are definitely going to be pushing these hard tires. 2.5 second stop. We should come out ahead of Norris here, behind Verstappen, as expected. And Verstappen too is going to need another pit stop. So I think, all in all, we're still ahead because he's used a lot more tire than we have. Yamamoto is actually getting a little bit left behind here, but that is because the train here with Norris, Piastri, and Sainz have been switching back and forth a little bit. But I'm not too concerned here. Temperature's still looking good. So I think we'll catch up by the end of this race. Let's see how this stint develops, so to speak. Yamamoto has been struggling for the last few laps here, getting an overtake done, but with a little bit of extra deploy, turns out it's not as big of an issue. Norris still kind of ekes us out here, but with the second helping of DRS, no chance to keep us at bay anymore. The time to Verstappen is still basically the same, about 12 seconds. So we do have some work here to actually catch up to him. I assume he's going to go down to a soft tire on his final stint here, which could be problematic for us, but we'll have to wait and see. Rivas has taken the lead. She is pushing. She is running. As you can see, almost a second quicker than the Red Bulls at the moment. So we are definitely looking very, very promising. At this pace, Yamamoto might actually catch up to Verstappen by the end. That would be an added bonus. Verstappen has just finished his final pit stop, and contrary to what we expected, he's actually gone to a hard tire. And with just 21 laps remaining, that is an interesting choice for a couple of reasons here. So if we take the compound performance into account, a soft tire to a hard tire is 6 or so tenths. So it's not actually a terrible choice in terms of pace here, because with the degradation difference being 600s here, it'll take 10 laps for the tires to become equalish. So the hards isn't a terrible choice due to that. And honestly, maybe picking a medium here would be good for us, but it's basically the same kind of math there. It's about 3/10, 300, so it would take about 10 laps for them to become equal. Verstappen might be cooking a little bit here, but I think just us taking better care of the tire is going to be the deciding factor. He is pretty far behind, 32-second off the lead. And with Rivas being able to probably push these hards for a little longer until we kind of have to pit to cover up Verstappen, I'd say we will be fine. Now, Yamamoto is going to be pitting onto her final set at the end of this lap. And at this point, I still think we're in a fairly good position. I don't necessarily think that she's going to catch Verstappen, but she's going to get a podium at the very least. Let's see how we handle this. Still a couple more laps for Rivas before we pit. We're going to monitor the gap to Verstappen. Make sure that once it gets close to, 24-ish seconds or so, we are probably going to be pitting her to cover him off and just run a light soft behind him. I think that's going to be the play here. For Yamamoto, let's see here if we get a clean pit stop. Fastest lap there for Verstappen is a little bit worrisome. Nothing too serious. 2.5 seconds. We are coming out here in fourth. No way for Piastri to overtake us here. Which actually is kind of bad because it does lessen or basically makes warming up these tires take a little bit longer time. But 11 seconds now behind Verstappen. Very comparable in terms of tires. Can we actually catch him by the end? That's going to be the big one. For Rivas, it's just pushing and ensuring that we can get the most out of these hard tires before we pit in to Verstappen, basically. I think we do one more lap, and after this lap, Verstappen should actually close down the gap quite a bit. And question here also, Norris, that he barely came out ahead of Yamamoto, which is kind of bad because that is definitely going to slow us down a bit. And that is not what we want to see. That's going to be pretty bad for us in the long term here, having him that close, so he can kind of interfere with what's going on. If we have to chase down Verstappen in case anything happens to Rivas. Okay, clean stop. All of our stops have been clean. Beautiful work, pit crew. I'll give you your summer bonus, winter bonus, Christmas bonus, I guess, if we take the title. But yeah, we are going to turn it down to light. I'm not too bothered if Verstappen catches up here. I do need to kind of manage probably ERS a little bit to make sure that we stay within range. But we have a 20% tire gap right now. It is 16 laps remaining. So we should be able to keep a tire advantage all the way to the end with that, because he has used so much tire already. The question is, as I mentioned, can Yamamoto close down these 10 seconds? That's going to be a much, much harder ask. With 10 laps now to go, Yamamoto has been able to close that gap to 5 seconds. Norris has actually been really helpful for this because we've been switching back and forth. So we're running lap times here that are generally half a second faster than the Red Bull. And as you can see, even Rivas is running alone, is running some pretty healthy lap times as well. So I don't think we need to really worry much here at all. Now, one concern you might have is the fuel. We're still negative 1.2 kilograms. And generally, as a rule of thumb, you regain about 0.250, 0.3 kilograms a lap. So within 4 or 5 laps here, we should be back onto the positive side of fuel. So I'm not really too concerned about that. Yamamoto and Norris still doing a good job at chasing down Verstappen. And we might just be able to get a little bit of a fight with them before the end of this race. We do also have energy here that we can use to honestly good effect right now, because we should get DRS, I think. I think Yamamoto will have DRS now on the straight thanks to the Mercedes. Maybe I was wrong. A clear aspect of a mechanical fault. That's not too good. But by using a little bit of energy here, we can definitely close down to Verstappen. And as long as we get within DRS range, that's basically going to be job done. Still 7 laps remaining, however, so we can't really waste the tires just yet. But closing down to the range that we need is definitely doable. And if we have Norris with us, we can use him as kind of a battery We'll have him give us DRS while we recharge. Then we'll start chasing again. 6 laps, 6 seconds. So if we gain half a second a lap, we will be very, very happy. But right now, we are actually losing time. Looks like Verstappen might have gotten some DRS help. Maybe not. Maybe it's just that we stopped using our energy ourselves. Rivas 8 seconds ahead, looking very, very good. Let's cross our fingers and hope that we get to the end of this without any huge incidents. Sargent is still potentially a safety car risk. He's running a very, very damaged setup back there. And right now, we're no longer gaining on Verstappen. We're actually running a little bit slower than he is. That is not what we like to see. 5 laps remaining. I think at the end of this lap, we start pushing everything that we have. I think we go up to standard, and then we're going to go full attack on this following lap. Fuel back to balanced. That should help our pace slightly. And now is probably a time when we can start being a little bit more aggressive. I believe on attack, we lose about 6% a lap. So while it's not going to be amazing, it's going to be fine. DRS has actually been achieved there, which has put us within range now of the Red Bull. So I think with that, we're going to recharge a little bit. We're going to get a little bit more resources back, if you will. Just trying to ensure that second place at the moment. Which honestly shouldn't be a huge problem, I dare say. Because what's going to happen now is Verstappen's going to overtake with DRS, I would think. As you can see, and then we re-overtake if he... Well, he didn't actually get the lead there. If he did, we could have just gone for the re-overtake and pushed ahead. Okay, I think if we wait one more lap, basically we allow the current situation to persist just slightly longer. And on the second, well, this is basically the second to last lap. Once we're done with both the DRS zones, that's when we try and make a move. Red Bull is pushing now. It is time to make sure that we stick within DRS. And also, if we can, get the overtake done right now. A good full send. Now, if we play our cards right, I don't think we'll have any big problems here with getting into trouble, per se. Last lap has begun. We just need Rivas to finish. Yamato in second place is basically just a added benefit. Or rather a security in case she crashes. But I'm still going to push. We're still going to give it our all here to ensure that we get as good a result as we can. And let's see, we should have DRS. We do. Verstappen got DRS from the back marker. You have to be joking. He's so lucky. Was that Stroll? Probably Stroll. But we have survived. Rivas wins. Driver champion. 2024. In a season that was far more challenging than it had any right to be. Yamamoto secures second. And with that, we had basically a 1-2 finish here that would have secured it if either of our drivers had crashed. But to start 12th and just be 10 seconds behind, that's pretty decent, I dare say. The only question that we have to ask ourselves now is going to be... it's going to be what team we play next season, I guess. I believe this is also the youngest ever champion.
A great display of team spirit there, as everyone finally gets the chance to share this moment. Well, Karun, how do you think they'll be feeling in the team garage at the end of that?
I doubt they could be much happier. A win and a podium place. What a great way to round out the weekend.
And that then concludes our time here in Abu Dhabi.
And that's
Well, we did win the World Championship here. I think that is good enough. Take a look at the drivers here. Rivas does end up winning 6 points ahead of her teammate. We end up then 6 points ahead of Verstappen. So, well, it was, as mentioned, a bit more exciting than it needed to be. We did manage to get it in the end. And I'm pretty sure that if I'd simulated, we probably wouldn't have. Which is weird. Let's just put it like that. It's a little bit more challenging than I expected. Which honestly is fun. But a bit of a problem with making the video, well, the series run its course. The big question that we're asking is who are we playing next year? And it's not Sauber, it's not Alpine, it is Williams. Okay, who is the current Williams drivers? I assume it's the same ones that you would expect. Albon and Sargent. Albon, he has 1 year left, which means that he should be at Williams next year. We'll have to see if we can poach someone else, I think, if we want to get that 1 season win. Sargent has 3 weeks left, and we're getting Magnussen in his seat here. I don't know what kind of contract he's agreed to, but that could be a little bit of a bollock. I'm gonna be honest. He's 32 years old. He is gonna definitely degrade. We're gonna see Alonso in the Haas. But yeah, next time we are playing as Williams, I believe. They are the lowest on the board. I'm curious to see how the car's gonna shape up. We're gonna have Magnussen. We're gonna have to find our own team. It's gonna be fun. But thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. This season finale ended up a little bit more spicy than it needed to be, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. Hope you did too. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.